It's him and I, Aquemini.
What's going on, YouTube? This is Marcos from Aquemini Pressure Washing back again with another video. And this is part 2 of the video of me changing the color of this deck. Now, if you haven't seen the first video, I'll leave the little link up here in the corner where you can match it and go check that video out first. So, let's get started. On this deck, we're going to change the color. We're using Sherwin-Williams Super Deck. The color 3068 Leather. So the way I'm starting, I always do a cut in around the house or any areas that I don't want to get stained on, because I am going to spray this deck with my sprayer. So we're going to do the deck. We're going to do the stairs. We're going to do the sides. And I'm using my Graco Nova 390 PC sprayer. One thing I'm not going to be able to do is spray the handrails or the balusters. I have metal spindles and I can't get stain on this, so this is going to have to be done with a brush. So anytime you have the metal spindles, be prepared to do it with a brush. Charge the customer more money because it's going to take you a lot more time. Okay, so I'm gonna stain everything, sides, and the whole floor. One thing I'm not gonna do is underneath the deck. Do not stain underneath the deck, because what would happen if you would stain the bottom part of the deck can rot out because water can get trapped in between the wood and the stain. Now we're gonna start off we're gonna do the handrails at the top, and then we're gonna do the floor. What I usually do, I give 2 coats on the floor and 2 coats on the top handrail. That's gonna be your most traffic areas. Okay, so I gave you a rundown of what's going on. Like I said, go back and check the first video out if you haven't seen the first one yet. Now I'm gonna go ahead and start the time lapse. Enjoy. Now, look at this. This is wet stain versus dry. Anytime that you're staining the deck, don't keep going over with the stain. Just let it dry, see what it's gonna do. Then after it dries, then you can go back and add or touch up spots that could need a second coat. But like I said, on the floor, we always put a second coat because it's a high traffic area. I do the inside of the handrails first. After I do the inside of the handrails, I go back and do the floor. That way, you give the handrails time to dry to see if you can touch up. And also you're gonna have a coat on the floor. Since you're gonna have 2 coats on the floor, you gotta give it some drying time. So the way to do that is just go ahead, put your first coat on, and when you're doing the outside of the handrails and the outside of the deck, that'll give you time for the floor to dry. All right, people, let's set up this sprayer. So we're just gonna sit it here. I'm gonna insert a little hole that draws in the stain. Now, okay, let me show you. You have different settings on the sprayer. You have a maxima, and you have an area that's designed to prime it. So we're gonna put it on prime right now. Hit the switch, and it's a little lever right here on the side. We want it facing down. So when we prime it, it's gonna pump it straight up and back into the bucket. So as you can see, starting to prime. Okay. Now, as that's priming, we're gonna set this little switch right here from prime to feed into the hose. So that's pushing it into the hose, and now we're gonna take the settings from the prime, and we're gonna turn it pretty much right here. If you look at this, this is a little lever. You have gray, you have green and blue. The green is for like a tip that has low current or low flow. So we're not using that. We're gonna have a maximum flow with the blue area, and we're gonna use a number 5. And well, let me explain this. On the tips, you can replace these little pieces right here. So when you get them, they may come with a 5 and 115. So the 5 is the number how wide it's going to be. So the first number you multiply by 2. So 5 is the first number. So 5 times 2 is 10. So it's going to be 10 inches wide. 15 is the flow rate that's coming out, which is 15. You can go as low as 9 and work your way up. So 15 is a pretty heavy flow, so you can go a little bit faster. If the number is lower, you just go a little bit slower. So now what I used to do, I'm gonna take this out in the yard and spread. And I just find an area, or either use a bucket where it's not gonna do any damage to the yard. So this gets all the water out. Get the finish, you need to put water in your machine to clear it out. Keep going. In a few seconds, you should see my hose is 50 feet. So you should start seeing the change in color. There we go. There. Now we got a prime. Now, don't just go out and start shooting your deck. What I would usually do is find a pole like this one. Let's make it a little bit wider so you can see. Okay, I just find a pole, something on the side where I can go back and touch it up, and we're just gonna test it with this. Now, when I shoot my poles, I kind of shoot them in a corner. Boom, that's it. This side again, shoot the corner. Now, the reason you shoot the corner, because if you shoot all 4 corners, that means you get 2 coats on all 4 surfaces. So again, shoot the corner. Okay, so notice I got stain here and stain here. So now, when I shoot this side right here, it's gonna be 1 coat, but when I shoot this side, that's the 2nd coat. All right, so that's 2 coats on There's 2 coats on this side now. It's on the 1 coat here, but when I hit this side, it's gonna put 1 coat here and the 2nd coat on that side. That's the reason you hit the corners. So again, we got 1 coat here and we have 1 coat here. So on the back side, we're gonna hit this. So this is gonna be the 2nd coat for this one. And that's it. That's all you have to do when you're shooting posts. Now, we notice that the stain is coming out pretty even. So now we can go ahead and start shooting the rest of the deck. All right, so I'm just gonna shoot this side first, and we're gonna work our way over to this side. And after that, that'll be the 1st coat. And we'll go back and start on the outside of the post. All right, so time to hit the time lapse again.
Perfect.
Okay, let me show you. See, that is wet. Just got through painting it. It still hasn't dried. Now, this right here is dry to the touch. I did this earlier in the video, and you see how it looks. I didn't really brush it in. You see, you have that little wet spot right there. That's gonna dry it pretty even and stuff, and it's gonna look pretty good. Now, I always tell my customers when I stain the deck, it's gonna be dry to the touch in basically like 4 or 5 hours, especially on a hot day. If it's the stairs, we're getting ready to go back up here and put the second coat on the stairs. So I always tell my customers, give it 24 hours before you walk on it. And then you still have to be careful because it could be wet spots like that. If you want it to dry faster, just brush it in. But it's on the side of the deck. If you want the deck to, I always tell my customer, give it 24 hours before you walk on the deck. And before you put furniture on it, give it 3 days to cure. That way you won't have to worry about it peeling up or paint pulling up after you put your furniture or barbecue grills on it. So just want to give you that. So like I said, I gave it time to dry. I did this side first on the stairs so I can walk on it. See my feet, it's not leaving in the marks. And this area right here, see, I'm walking on it, feet not getting stuck. It's a couple of wet spots on here. And as you see, as I was down there doing the sides, like I said, it's dry to the touch. So now the second coat will be good. Unfortunately, I gotta sweep this off. I don't have my blower. I gotta sweep this off. I had to sweep this off because it is spring, so got pollen, all kind of stuff that's gonna fall on the deck. So I have to get all this stuff off. So on my second coat, what I'm gonna do the handrails first. And after I do the handrails, I'm gonna go back and do the floor. And this shouldn't take too long. And this shouldn't take that long because like I said, I'm just doing the top of the handrails. I'm not doing the fronts and anything like that. If I see some areas that I might need to touch up, then I'll touch it up as I do the top. But yeah, only thing I'm gonna do is just do a coat on the top and then put the second coat on the floor. Okay, let's get started. Okay, everybody, this is the final product. As you can see, it's done. 2 coats. Sides all dry. floor is still kind of wet. If you can see the shiny parts, those are the wet areas and stuff like that. But it's kind of warm today. You see, I think it's around like 70 degrees. So it's drying pretty quickly and stuff like that. So I know it is going to rain tomorrow, but it should be fine. This should be dry to the touch. Anything that's kind of heavy coated or kind of hard to dry, this should be dry by this afternoon. As you can see, this area right here is now dry. I sprayed it earlier and it was still wet. Now looking at it dry, looks good, don't it? Okay, thank you for watching part 2 of this video. I know it wasn't pressure washing, but it was something that was tied into it. So I thought that you'd probably be interested to see how this comes out and stuff like that. So like I said, this is the final project. This is the final product of me pressure washing, then going back and staining. And keep in mind, staining could be another part of your business that you can do, or if you're a homeowner thinking that you can pressure wash and then also go back and stain your deck. If you don't know, you can do this by hand. You can do the entire deck by hand. It's gonna take you a longer time to do it. My first deck I did by hand. I think it took me about 3 days to do. A deck this size, you know, if you started early in the morning, you follow my steps and stuff, how to stain the deck and wash it. You can wash one day and stain it the second day and you'll be finished. Yeah, this video was kind of different. It wasn't pressure washing, but it was something that was tied into the last video, what you can see right here. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment below if you see something that you have a question about. And also, make sure you turn on that notification button. And I will see you in the next video. This is Marcos. I'll talk to you next time. Peace.